Good morning, brothers. You have been given the edit rights to the map for your congregation. I'm encouraging you at this time, if you could, go ahead and make sure that your player is set at 1080p so that you can see the detail on the map. You have to have a Google account in order for you to be able to edit the map. If you'll notice, normally it's in your top right-hand corner. It'll show that your Google account has been signed into. And there's many advantages in doing that. The Google gives you some many powerful different applications that you can use from like PowerPoint and Word, PDF files. You can create websites. It gives you a drive that gives you 15 gigabytes of free data. And so just to kind of illustrate it, this is what we used. We took the data that you sent to us and then we imported it into a Google form. Now, up to 50 different people can collaborate simultaneously with this one document. And so as I move my slider down here, you can see there's almost 3,000 lines of data that was fed into it for the original 20 congregations within the circuit. We also did something for the International Convention as an example. It demonstrates the power that you have in Google because you can create a website also. And so in this case, we had an attendant database that a form was used to actually write data back into this file. So it's a very powerful application to use. I would highly recommend that you become more familiar with it if you haven't had that opportunity. So just to speak about some of the tools that exist within your Google map, right here where my mouse is, you'll notice that tool is an undo tool. If you make a mistake, you can immediately go back and make that change, and each time you hit the undo button, it'll take you back to your original point. That's important because in Google Maps, everything you do, it's saved instantaneously. So as an example, if you have the selection tool on, and if you were to click onto your map and you accidentally grab and you were to move that, well, now it's not in position anymore. Then hitting your undo will take it back to its original position. You'll notice also these are called nodes right there where my mouse is. I can click on that node and I can hold it and actually move it. So if your territory boundary changes, you can change this if you would like in order to do that. Again, we'll hit undo. You can also go forward if you want to your previous change. As we mentioned already before, this tool here is the select items. You can place icons on the screen and then name those icons. You can change it to whatever color. We'll go over all that in just a minute. This is your draw tool. So you can add a line, or you can even close it off and then color it whatever color you want, change the line thickness. Again, we'll demonstrate that in just a minute. Hitting our delete key will take that off. And so going back, this function right here, let's say that you want to measure a distance going down a freeway, okay? And you'll notice that as I move down, I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can see the detail on your map. I'm at 4.43 miles right now. So that's a little tool to actually be able to measure things on your map. Now, going back to your header bar here, by clicking onto that header bar, we can change that to whatever we want. In this case, I went ahead and added the word congregation, but maybe underneath the map, you want some additional information. Well, right here is where your description of your map is, and right now we've just got main territory data map. Now, here are some other tools that you'll be using on a regular basis. We'll go to add layer later on, but you'll see that you had 7 different layers that are in this existing map. Google allows you up to 10 different layers, and these layers are stacked on top of one another. And as we described earlier, if you look at your map by clicking this button, it removes all the publishers off of it, right? And so when we look at underneath that, we notice that there's an arrow, and by clicking that arrow, it takes us directly to that individual there on the map. Again, we close that. So one thing we want to notice here is what we call our layer options. You should be able to see these three small dots. When you click onto that, here's the most important thing: Open Database. Now this is the database that was actually fed into the map. It's very simple to do. We're going to illustrate that later on. But if you use Excel, you know, so you can turn on filters and do sorts. Well, you can do the same thing here. By clicking onto the tab, I'm going to do the A to Z sort of everything in that. You'll notice now it's in alphabetical order. So if you want to make a change here, you just type into the column and it'll make that change. So any place that you had a good address, it's going to place that address as an icon on your desktop. But you'll notice here where I'm clicked, there was no information. And so when you type in the proper information there in the way and the format that Google wants, it's going to put it as a place mark at that address. This is the reason why we needed to have accurate information from you brothers at the time that we got the spreadsheet from you. And so if you have someone new to the congregation and you want to add that person to the map, you can merely just at any point just click and say add row, and it puts it at the top. You just type in all the information. It will place an icon or a place mark directly on that page. If you need to make any changes, you can do that here also. So that's the way that your open table works. And you'll notice here it'll flag you anytime it says open data table. It says 3 rows couldn't be shown on the map. Well, it'll take you directly to those. If you go over to, if you go to the, first of all, go to the top. We notice that as we go out, it shows 3 addresses here that are missing. And so you can come back and put those addresses in, and once again, it will place, put the place mark in the proper position. Let's move our map back over here in this case. So let's talk a little bit about the styles. Now what that is, that's talking about the style of a place mark or the icon. And so you can pick individual styles, means that every one of the icons with under this filter can be separate. They can be a different identifier. But in this case, since we have a number of filters, we just use the, and so I want to do an undo here to change that color. So we can actually go to the uniform style right here, and you notice that I've got a P for all publishers. If I clicked onto that, I could change the color of those to orange. I want to do an undo here. Or if we go down to the elders, we'll notice that we brought in a unique icon. I'm going to show you how you can download just about anything as an icon and a place mark and use that if you'd like off the internet. And so if where we have the elders now, which is the red tie, if I clicked this exclamation mark, it changes it to that. We're going to put it back. And then we'll show you how to import an icon here in just a minute. And so that's the way we basically use this map. And now we're going to create a map of your own. If we go up to share, I want to make note of one more thing. If you go up to share, this is who you actually will share your map with. You can set the permissions up any way that you would like. Right now it says anyone who has the link can view it. And so if you were to send that URL address to someone, they'd be able to view that link. Well, you can change that. You can set it so only specific people that you gave an invitation to will actually see the link. So if we go back, how do we do that? Well, right here where it says invite people, you'd put their email address right here and then just hit send. That way they get an invitation, and when they click on that invitation to accept it, it sends an email back to you, and you go ahead and approve their being able to view or edit that. And so you'll notice it'll keep right here all those that are currently listed as approved to edit or to view that. And you can change when you go to send that email, you can change that they either have edit capability or view capability. So what we're going to do now, though, is I'm going to show you how to very easily create and populate your own map if you would like. If you just merely go up to this set of map data here and just say copy map. And when you copy the map, you're going to go ahead and name it. I'm going to call this Lakeside 2. And it's going to take just a minute for that to actually load that file. It's taking every one of the filters, it's taking all that data, and it's bringing it into a copied map. Now, the reason why that's a benefit to you is because now you'll become the owner of that map, which gives you the ability to determine who's going to have permissions. See, currently, I'm the owner of the map that you were using. And so when this loads in, what we're going to have to do, though, as we zoom into it, what we're going to have to do, though, is erase all the information that's currently in there, because I've called this Lakeside 2. Now, I didn't change the territory map on this because this is for demonstration purposes only, but I'm going to take the publishers, and as it says right here, it says delete this layer, and I say delete, yes. And I'm going to go through here on each one of these categories and delete that layer. So the only thing I have left is just a territory map and a kingdom hall. And so you see now that's actually all we've got left is just a territory map for that congregation. So now what we want to do, this is where we learn how to use add layer. And so when I click that, you'll notice it starts creating the layer. Sometimes you have to turn that off and turn it back on. But once you click onto it this time, we're going to name that layer, and we're just going to call it all publishers, or whatever the category happens to be in your need. And then once we save that out, now we see it has all publishers on there. And then I'm going to import the data, and so it brings up this box, and so it gives you the ability to drag the file and drop that file into this box, and it automatically will build that data. Let me show you how we do that. So here I used a data file from a KHS application, and so this is one dated the 17th. So you see it dated the date, and we always want data, and we always want it to be able to use well, there's something wrong with that file, so we're not going to use that file. We'll use this file. I'm sorry, need to import it. And you see that there's a lot of different categories that exist here. I left a lot of data in it just for demonstration purposes, but we always want to make sure that the first thing we click is what's going to be needed in order for it to, for Google to actually find the address of the individual. And there we find it finally as address, and we hit continue. And now we need, what do we want to be the identifier for each one of the icons? And so in this case, I'm going to check legal name, because what you're going to see come up was last name, comma, first name. And I'll say finish here. And as it's doing that, you'll notice over here that it's loading that map data now into this map. And so in this case, because we have the wrong territory map, remember I told you this is actually Lake Highlands, and their territory map is actually over here. But I'm doing this for demonstration purposes, so this is where all their publishers are. And if we go here and we say open the data table, there it is. Now we have several publishers that their address didn't show up, right? But that's everybody in the congregation. By a few clicks of your application, you were actually able to create another map. And so it told us here that we had 3 rows that did not have the proper address. I have uniform style on, which means I can go down here and I can change that. And I'm just going to make it a P for publishers. And let's say that we're going to make the icons blue. But you can change the color to whatever you want to there. And so then any other layers that you want to add, if you want to disseminate the information, so you have elders and ministerial servants and pioneers, you just break down your spreadsheet by that, and then you import those separately. We hope that this training will benefit you, and we hope that you'll have success in your congregation in using it.